Hey, so I'm going to make a video about the benefits and the negatives of living in China for a extended period of time. Anyone who's looking to come to China, I think would be interested in the good things, the bad things, everyday life in China has to offer you. A lot of these topics are double-edged swords, so although one aspect of that topic might be great about living in China, there's also a bad side to the exact same topic. So I will try and go into both sides. Some of them aren't double-edged swords, some of them are just benefits or just negatives. But the bigger ones are kind of double-edged swords. So yeah, I'm going to make a two-part video. I'm going to do positives first, then I'll do negatives, and I'll try to get them both up as quickly as possible. And if you're thinking about coming to China, please feel free to ask me questions about any topics that I might have missed out, or if you'd already live in China, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the topics that I've mentioned, if you've experienced the same positives or negatives, or anything that you think I might have missed off the list. Okay, let's go. Okay, so the first positive I want to talk about is cost of living. The cost of living in China, even in Shanghai, which is one of the most expensive cities in China, is really low compared to the West. I'm from Cambridge, it's one of the most expensive cities in England, and it was almost impossible for me to even think about getting on the housing ladder there. But if I really wanted to in Shanghai, with my salary as even just as a lowly ESL teacher at a training centre, I could save up and probably get a place within a couple of years, but that would not be possible in Cambridge. Not that I'm thinking about doing that or anything, but I'm just saying that would be a possibility. So yeah, the rent's really low, generally, and compared to your salary, just even as a teacher. Food, if you want to go to, if you want to get food, you can go to just the local, not the supermarkets or anything, just to a simple vegetable market. You can pick up vegetables and fruit and most things for very, very cheap, which would cost be about a quarter of what you'd pay in the West. I've seen lots of other vloggers, they've done like a 35 RMB a day, which is like £3.50 a day challenge, to see if they can live on that. And to be honest, I go some days without spending less than that. We just kind of stock our fridge for fairly cheap and then just make food at home. So along with having cheap rent and cheap food to buy, and here's an example: a bottle of water, it costs you 30 pence here, 3 kwai, whereas in England it costs you about £1.20, which is about 12 kwai. So everything's about, if you go to the right places, if you don't go to the high-end supermarkets here, in which you'll pay Western prices or more, which I'll talk about later, if you just go to the cheap ones, you can live incredibly cheap and you can save a lot of money and send it back home, or just keep it in China, or do what you want. So that's definitely one benefit of living in China, just the general everyday cost of living. Okay, positive number 2, it's got to be the food. If you are interested in coming to live in China, chances are that you're a bit of a foodie. You like to experiment, try different foods and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a never-ending amount of food to try in China. Obviously China is a huge country full of all these different provinces, and every province has their own type of food, and most cities will have restaurants from each city. You just walk down the street and there'll be a Shanxi restaurant and a Hunan restaurant, and yeah, just restaurants from all over China will be represented in each city. So you can there's just a never ending amount of food, different types of food that you can try. Most of them are lovely, most of them are not to my taste anyway, but it's great if you are very adventurous. If you like spicy food, it's good. I'm not really a fan of spicy food. But yeah, okay, so if you're an adventurous foodie, China's definitely a good place to come. If you do want to not just eat Chinese food all the time, there is the options for Western restaurants, at least in the major cities anyway, like Shanghai. They have all the KFCs, Burger King, Pizza Huts. They have Haagen-Dazs stores. If you want to go more, second tier, third tier cities, then chances are they probably have their own brand of. They might not have KFCs or anything like that. They might have their own brands of food stores, but you'll still be able to get something similar to what you're looking for Western food. Okay, so yeah, food, number 2. Okay, number 3 is the experience and the experience of a new culture, basically. China is totally different to, I dare say, any country in the world. It's a totally unique society. Before I came to China, I'd spent about 6 months traveling through Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong. Is that it? Say Cambodia? Did I say that? Yeah, probably. All these Southeast Asian countries, and I found myself in China. And after that, I didn't expect anything to really sort of shock me or surprise me, because I was so used to those cultures. They're all different in their own way, but then you come to China and it's kind of like it throws you back again to when I first sort of landed in Southeast Asia. You sort of have to readjust all over again. And I've been here 2 years and I still don't really feel like, every single day you sort of see something or hear something or something happens and it's just like, what? You just can't really get your head around it. So yeah, if you want a bit of culture shock, you want to get out of your normal boring life and get out of your comfort zone, then China's a great place for that. The society itself doesn't adapt itself to Western sensibilities, and that's great. You don't want to go somewhere. I do find the Southeast Asia is kind of tourism based. Everywhere you go, somebody's trying to sell you flip-flops or sunglasses, but you don't really get that in China. They've sort of got their own thing going on, which is good. So yeah, if you really want to experience something new, my parents and my sister came out here last year, and I think they're all sort of shocked and in awe at the same time of just how China is. Just the people, the amount of people that's around. You can get dizzying sometimes. You're just walking through the street and it's just chaos, just people everywhere. Just walking through a train station waiting for a train, it's just madness. It doesn't seem to make sense how it can work as a society. There's just so many people, so many lights, so much noise, cars, motorbikes, bicycles, people, it's just non-stop all the time. And I think that's great. As a young person looking to explore things, it's a really, really good thing. It's a real attack on the senses, and that's great. So yeah, if you want experience, culture, not as much culture as you might think. A lot of the old Chinese culture has been knocked down, especially in Shanghai, like old temples and stuff like that. You won't find that even in my neighborhood, my area. They're constantly knocking down even the little vegetable markets, and then they'll build up a block of flats that will sit there empty for 3 years, and doesn't really make much sense, but that's what they're doing. Obviously Shanghai's an expanding country, this land's very valuable to people, so they just knock everything down, knock all the old buildings down, throw up a block of flats, which isn't great. If you really want to explore cultural China, you have to go to the they do have temples and that in Shanghai, like Jing'an Temple and all the very famous ones, which they would never knock down. But they're massively touristy. But I suppose they're temples and that. But they're in the middle of neon lights and skyscrapers, so it's not like a temple in the country as such. So yeah, but yeah, it's still there. It's still a positive, you know, just the general social experience, cultural experience of China. It's definitely worth coming here for that. Okay, next topic's going to be safety, personal safety in China. Coming from England, you know, it's not a massively dangerous place, but obviously growing up there, I don't know any different. But you know, for an example, if you go out for a night in England, you just got to keep your wits about you. You know, you got to think, like say you're drunk and you're walking home on your own. If you're a boy or a girl, you know, you've got to think, I've got to be careful because somebody might jump me and attack me and try to take my phone or take my wallet or whatever. And the same goes for the other countries I visited before I came to China, you know, Thailand, and all these South Asian, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia. You've got to be careful where you go, what you do. But in China, you don't really need to be careful, even as a foreigner. Or I don't want to speak for women in this situation. You know, I don't know how they feel about living in China. I've had a conversation with some girls I know, sort of foreigner girls I know, and they said that they feel incredibly safe here, and I do too. Like when I first arrived in Shanghai, I can remember going out with my roommates and some people I know, and getting pretty drunk on some alcohol at a nightclub, and then not really. This was like my second week. I didn't even really know where I lived, and so I got a taxi back, and then the people I was with sort of took me back, and then I got out of the taxi about 400 meters from my actual apartment just because I saw something that I recognised, and I was pretty drunk, and I was just like, oh yeah, it's here. So I got out, and then my friends went home of the other direction in the taxi. And then I was like, oh, I'm like 500 meters from my apartment, so I had to walk through these streets all alone. There was still loads of people around, and I was pretty messed up. And then, but nobody, like, you feel safe. Like you don't have even a feeling of like something's gonna happen. I'm sure it has happened before, but I've heard rumors of certain laws against I don't know why, but laws against, like, if you commit a crime against a foreigner or a tourist, then you get a lot of trouble, like the Chinese people will. I don't think that's the reason for it. I just think they're generally a law-abiding society, not a violent society, not compared to England or America or Australia or wherever. It's very... a lot safer in that way in regards to violent crimes and stuff like that. I mean, you see about it sometimes on the news in China about violent crimes, but they sort of splash it all over the headlines as if, like, it's usually like a petty crime. Like, you'll see a video on the news of somebody stealing a motorbike and they'll flash it all over the news like it's a massive bank robbery or like some crazy shootout in a bar or something. And like, it's like somebody nicking a bicycle, and that's like the biggest crime that they have out here. Probably for fear of repercussion, you know. I can't imagine Chinese prisons are the nicest places to go. And so yeah, personal safety, you know, you can get wrecked and just walk down the street and nobody's gonna say boo to you. You feel really safe. So yeah, that's really nice, you know. You walk down, just walking home at night, don't think some scally's gonna jump out and knife you or anything like that, which is always good. So yeah, it's definitely a positive. Okay, so yeah, that was my top, was it 4 topics I touched, I think? Yeah, 4 reasons or benefits of living in China, you know. I've probably missed some out. If I have, please let me know. I'd like to hear what you think of other benefits of living in China. And if you disagree with me, have any stories about things that happen that make you disagree with me, then I'd love to hear it. You know, please like, comment and subscribe, and yeah, just send me comments, you know. I will reply to them as best I can. Yeah, okay, thank you for watching. Bye bye. Peace.